Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everything is Energy. And welcome to the topic today is about Neptune moving into the sign of Aries. Neptune is in Aries beginning yesterday, the 26th of January. And this is a pretty big deal, much akin to, Pluto moving into Aquarius. Neptune, is a planet that works in the subtle energetic field. Neptune is ruled by the sign of Pisces. Neptune just left Pisces and is now at 0 degrees of Aries. And I want to talk about the several different layers of what's happening for us personally and collectively. But I will say that one of the themes is about dissolving boundaries. Neptune is the planet of illusion and delusion. Neptune is a spiritual, idealistic, psychic, intuitive, creative, also a sacrificing sign. And one of the things that, Neptune's moving into Aries on the 26th of January, and then Saturn's going to move into Aries on the 13th of February. And then on the 20th of February, Neptune and Saturn are going to be conjunct exactly at 0 degrees Aries. So we're building up to something here, beginning today, actually yesterday, because I'm recording on the 27th. But, if we think about this as a part of a larger cycle, Neptune's uh, orbit takes 165 years. So it's going to be 165 years until Neptune comes back to this specific point energetically. And Neptune spends about 13 to 14 years in each sign. So we're going to have roughly that amount of time of Neptune and Aries energy. But there's something very specific about Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries. Not only is 0 degrees the first degree of one of the 12 signs of the zodiac, so this is going to be 13 years of something, but 0 degrees of Aries is the beginning of the entire zodiac wheel. Pisces is the last sign, Aries is the first sign. So this signals what we're experiencing now isn't just part of a 13 or 14-year cycle. This is a part of a 165-year cycle. And it's a really potent point of the zodiac. And, I'm what's coming through is this notion of dissolving boundaries in a very Neptunian way. Neptune was the ruler of the seas. And so this is also very much about our emotional body, our emotional sensitivity, which is why Neptune's linked with psychic and creative and intuitive energy. But 0 degrees of Aries, it's potent, but it's also somewhat chaotic, or maybe even a little bit of a painful moment. And we're going to be at 0 degrees of Aries. Neptune's going to be at 0 degrees of Aries from the 26th of January to the 26th of February. But the first degrees have their own decan, as you will, and maybe I can talk about that later. But I want to focus on 0 degrees of Aries because I think about this metaphor for this moment. We've been talking about being rebirthed collectively. And these moments right now, if we think about the metaphor of being the birth point, the beginning of the zodiac, and if we compare that to childbirth, while I've never personally given birth to a child, I can imagine that childbirth is both, painful and intense, as well as just miraculous and beautiful. And that is kind of part of the metaphor. There's this sense of a new beginning, but not quite even being able to tap into what or who or how what that new beginning is really even about. So if we think about just as the newborn baby is very physically present in its mother's arms, it's only the beginning of the parents getting to know who and what that little child is all about. And so, Neptune at this point in the zodiac brings with it the energy of illusion and delusion and higher spiritual truths. So, very likely around this time and in this month of time, the January 26th to February 26th, and even beyond, because Saturn's going to go into Aries, and I'll do a podcast on that. But, this has the potential to do a couple things for us personally and collectively. And one is to shatter our deeply held but no longer true beliefs and help us see through the illusion and be reborn ourselves. And this aspect, it's if it sounds like it can sounds a little painful, but it also, I don't know if you can see how sense how powerful it is. If this For me, it feels like it's about, unity consciousness is coming online. That's what was happening when Pluto was going into Aquarius. That's going to be the case. Neptune is really helping take down the illusion of separation, the illusion of us versus them, the illusion of one thing versus another thing, the illusion of, there's so many ways that that could look that are ripe in our world right now, right? But what's ultimately coming through is humanity and interconnectedness, and not just humanity, the entire consciousness and life on earth itself. So, you know, this aspect, as I'm saying, it can be painful, but it's also very powerful. And Neptune can also just simply help us get clear on the bigger picture. And it's inviting us to understand, why we might not always be in control. We do have the power of personal agency. And so 0 degrees of Aries, Aries is the I am sign. Aries is the very personal, active sign. Caveat that that's very exciting, but as I mentioned, just like a newborn baby, it's very present, but it's also quite unknown. And it's a really good thing to remember that maybe we don't need to be so super convicted and soapboxing about what we think is true still. But there's going to be this sense of the illusions falling, the separation is falling. And I mentioned Neptune is, the associated with the emotional body of the collective consciousness. The god of the oceans and water is kind of, water is our emotional body. Our bodies are made up of a very similar percentage of water as planet Earth herself, and we're mostly that. So, you know, and Neptune is just yet another planet with Pluto dealing in subtle energy. So this is much about our internal world as it is about the collective emotional body going through a rebirth. And so to marry that with 0 degrees Aries means that we're going through this kind of individual and collective inception point. So, yeah, it can feel chaotic. And yeah, it's important to not claim to know that we know the real truth or that we can see everything. But it's also important to trust ourselves in what we sense and see, and trust what we know to be true. Trust our spidey senses here. Like have been saying, there's this sense of the if the illusion and delusion is coming down, there's this kind of shadow play of what a person might be saying, but what they're actually meaning behind what they're saying or doing. So this is just about a beginning point, with the understanding that there can feel this sense. I think there's going to be a sense of collective relief in coming together. And there's also this sense of not needing to have it all figured out yet. This is a long-term transit. If we've got 13 or 14 years of Neptune and Aries, and we've got this as a part of a 165-year cycle, this is really about something larger than the world that we even see and the world that we even know today. So I want to do a meditation here. And I also kind of want to say that this is going to be a 3-part series I'm anticipating, because we also have to look at how Saturn coming into Aries is going to add to this, and then how when they are conjunct. But this is the beginning of something that is very much about being able to see through the illusion. And so I want to offer a meditation here just to help us stay grounded and to help us keep our hearts open. And, much like the metaphor of the birth process, all we really know, if we think about what that infant knows, is the conditions that we've left behind. And we can tell that something new is happening. But also, if we put ourselves in that infant's perspective, left the womb of the mother, out in this world, breathing air, not really knowing much about it, right? So, but if you think about the power of the consciousness of that infant, and even the experience of the parents, there's this miracle that is happening. There's this transformation that we're in the midst of. And now more than ever, the power of our consciousness, the power of our heart is being, anything that was holding us back from understanding how truly divine and loved and loving and powerful we are, is, it's like the scales falling off our eyes, essentially. But then maybe if the scales are falling off our eyes, we need to, we need time to calibrate, to take in the light, right? So just to know that, what's being birthed right now, it's not going to be the case that we can see the whole truth, but it's the compass is our internal, especially right now, our internal emotional intuitive knowing. So let's go ahead and get to just a quick practice, a medium length practice. Find somewhere where you can sit comfortably or lie down, and somewhere where you can close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, bring your awareness inward. Bring your awareness to your heart center and to your emotional body. And the heart center, it can be very much the access point for that, even if the emotional body sounds like this nebulous thing. You can place your hands on your heart, or you can just bring your awareness and visualize that flame of light, that ball of light that's right where your heart is, but on your spine, right at the center of your chest. And as you inhale, breathe in through the nose. Just call your attention to that space. Just observing. Exhale through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose. Just simply notice the quality of energy that's present in your heart right now. And release the breath through the mouth. And as you inhale and begin to observe all the things that might be there, just observe them without judgment. And let the exhale start to be a cleansing, releasing breath. Inhale, just again, calling more of your focus, more of your consciousness to your heart center, and just observing the joy, the love, the tension, the pain, whatever's there. Just observe it. And then on the out breath, just let anything that's ready to be released leave with your out breath. And as you're coming more and more to connect to your heart center, feel the beauty and the miracle of this moment. Maybe you're witnessing all of its perfections, all of its imperfections. Allow all of that to be present. And just simply meeting yourself and the energy of this moment. Inhale. And let the exhale be a release. So we're not trying to do anything here. We're not trying to force the process. That is the medicine of 0 degrees Aries. We're just the newborn baby. We're not trying to ride our bicycle yet. We're not trying to speak words. We're just in the miracle of this birth moment. Breathe in and connect with your heart. And let the exhale be a release, energetic and metaphorical. And just stay with that breath. Stay with the beauty of all that is present in your heart. And as you meet those parts that there's love and hope and peace, and maybe there is pain or fear, allow those maybe heavier emotions to be part of this perfect mosaic. Because those things that are maybe the heavier things are the catalyst for what we're requesting in the future. Everything that is maybe ready to be released, everything that's ready to go, anything that's old news is perfect in this moment because it's causing each of us individually and collectively, the power of our consciousness is planting a seed, making a wish, knowing what we want to create in the future. There's this internal compass and sense of conviction that's being activated by that mosaic. And as you breathe into your heart space, inhale, just call your awareness there. See if you can just really accept the, the profound perfection of the imperfection. And now I mentioned the emotional body. Let's bring our awareness to our energetic field now. Your aura typically extends out 3 or 4 feet in that egg-shaped field all around you. And part of that field is understood to be the emotional body, where the emotions live beyond the physicality of us. And as you just tune into your field, inhale, bring your awareness to that space. And maybe it feels like, oh, there's a wonderful hum. Maybe it feels a little bit chaotic. There's no right or wrongness to what you meet in the moment that you find this. Just observe it. And as you release the breath, imagine whatever's ready to be released is just falling out of your field and moving down into the soil beneath you. And just simply breathing and meeting the power of this moment with the power of your consciousness, the power of your heart, the power of your intuitive knowing, and the power of connecting to the reason why you're here, the potential of this moment. And as we stand at 0 degrees of Aries, Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries, one of these subtle, energetic, generational planets, subtle energy always wins, even if it feels very foreign in the physical world for many of us. As we stand at 0 degrees of Aries, this is an inception moment. And see if you can just be here now. And allow the exhale to be that release. If anything needs to go, it can be released. But there's this newness that's coming online. And it could be subtle, or it could be beneath the surface, or it could be very present. But taking the time to connect to your heart, to connect to the power that you hold, and to bring your consciousness to all of what's present for you. Just notice if there's this moment of, I called it a mosaic before, or there's this multifaceted thing that's happening. And maybe our human minds can't grasp onto all the different facets one point in time. But maybe we can start to feel and remember the interconnectedness of everyone and everything. And maybe we can start to step into this really more true understanding that it is not me versus you or us versus them. It's humanity. It's the earth. It's Gaia herself. It's all of the life on this planet, all of the things on this planet, all of the water, all of the rocks, all of the air, all of the trees, all of the animals. And see if you can, in your heart, welcome this moment for yourself first. But then for yourself, also, as you do that for yourself, you're doing it for the collective. Meet this moment with the power of your heart and welcome in a new, more powerful than ever understanding and embodiment of the interconnectedness of everything. And stay here for as long as you'd like, as long as you need. But I hope that this message and this meditation helps to ground us in this birth process, in this process of being reborn. That's what's happening right now. And I'll give you a sneak peek for the next video. Saturn's going to offer us some foundations for expansion. But the important thing here at 0 degrees Aries is not to get the cart in front of the horse. It's to be here now, to stay in our heart, and to be a conscious part of the co-created present and future. All right. Thanks for joining me. Have a blessed week and month ahead. Blessings and love.